Welcome all, welcome one, welcome all to the official start of something honestly fantastic here with the Salt Mine Pod. We are one of the community streamers approved for the GSL stage of OQ's number 2 here. So we are super excited to be here. Unfortunately, our first matchup of the day got DQ'd. So one team gets a free win. We didn't get a cast of the series. And now we are covering a very different series. Polestar versus ISU in the B group here. These two are going to be fighting for what we believe will be the second spot out of this group. So a very fun time matchup. But I'm more excited that I'm here with my lovely co-caster, Bonfire, Slayfire on the call. And Bonfire, we missed draft, so hopefully with this fan star, you'll have some time to talk me through what you're thinking with these two squads.
Yeah, happy to be here. Both these teams taking a bit slow, and your eyes are not deceiving you. That is indeed a APC brand, I suppose, which is kind of fun to see. I feel like you don't see a lot of APCs nowadays. I feel like it was fairly common. You know, you'd see some TFs, some Syndras in the bot lane, but nowadays it's all AD. Not this game. We're seeing a brand make its way to the bot lane, and instead the Tristana is going to be mid, so kind of different there. It's also going to be a farming Senna, as you can see with the item choices in the bot lane. I think sometimes you will see a Nautilus decide to go farming, but I think recently both you and I casted a game where it was a farming Senna, so the days of the fasting Senna maybe are over. Maybe people like the Senna Nautilus so much they're okay with Senna farming up. Who knows? So those are, I think, the most interesting things to keep an eye on. Some champions you don't see a lot of. Renekton, Graves, I think I was keeping an eye on. You don't see a ton of Kindreds. But as a whole, other than that, pretty stock standard.
Do want to point out that ISU does have a sub in. Nausicaa is playing in that AD carry-ish role. Usually, I believe it is Mr. Disconnector himself. So Disconnector not here for this series. We go to the sub here. Partially what you might see with that different, sort of style like you were talking about, taking the brand down bottom lane versus, your traditional AD carries. Quickly on the point that you made as well, Lunar on the farming Senna. I have seen that become more and more common, especially since the double Dornan start got nerfed. So you don't have the supports, taking that to start double up. And people are favoring the Senna in the farming role a bit more than the support role, it seems, as of late, especially with this Nautilus pairing. So I feel like this is pretty on brand for the current meta, and we'll certainly see how that evolves in this series as every lane literally wants to slug it out in this early game.
Yeah, it's definitely a pretty high octane early game. You've got a lot of lanes trading for early priority, and that's really because both of these junglers aren't super strong early. So it's incredibly important being able to help your jungler out because they're going to need it. Both a Kindred and a Graves need a little bit to get going. I think you'd probably favor a Graves earlier, but I don't know. Graves really needs an item and a half to really feel strong enough to do some damage with those autos. Other than that, just sometimes feels like they can tickle. So both of these junglers needing some help from the rest of their team. I'll tell you who does not need help is Meslo. That Udyr, one of the reasons it's such a strong pick is because you can just proxy waves, and with this Graves being in the bot side, no concern about being ganked means that this Renekton is probably going to just have to sit under his tower for quite a while.
Certainly interesting spot here for that Renekton. Shocky, a very well-known Renekton player. Feel like Renekton is slowly kind of dipped out of the meta. I mean, he was a juggernaut before, as Drew Dozer shows why Tristana used to be a juggernaut in the meta. That mid lane Tristana, it's such a good pick up against, those control mages like Orianna who just want to kind of handshake a lane, farm it out, maybe look for some opportunities with Shockwave once ultimate come online. But Tristana, Drew Dozer, it's kind of a bit of a failed lane in my mind if you're not coming away with a sizable CS lead, just gold lead in general out of this matchup.
Yeah, and this is how you're supposed to play the Tristana, right? You hop on in, get the bomb, get all of those stacks on, you pop the bomb, and then you can hop on out if you need to. So it's a really good way to trade and get some good damage across, as Lunar's going to take some damage. The one downside of having this Senna be in the farming spot is you can expect to see Lunar or Nausicaa hit quite a bit more of those damage combos on the brand. That's I think both you and I talked about it in a previous cast we had together, where it's just when you're farming, you really have to put yourself in more uncomfortable positions. Lunar's done a good job of avoiding them so far, but just keep an eye because I do think that Nausicaa could get an opportunity to get some real good damage across on this farming Senna in the future.
Since, apologies, by the way, that we didn't have a draft shown there and a bit of a pre-show. I am doubling as the producer with the Salt Mine, so a bit of a struggle there, which means we kind of I'm thankful that we don't have any kills in the early game just yet, really, because it gives us some time to talk about things. And right on that cue, Cascaros comes across as NACL gets ignited, hooked. The entire CC dropped down onto this Brand. But they pop Ghost, they just run right on out. So some good trading, but nothing to really be found there. As topside, I believe Grubs are also being taken, and this could get a bit dicey with the teleport coming through for Reppy.
Yeah, Reppy's going to be a little late to the party, but is going to have a health along with a mana advantage, and so looks like both teams don't really want to continue to fight it over. It was a 2-to-1 Grub split, and so it is going to be ISU favorable. Hold on, some more trading. Nautilus landing some good hooks, but as both you and I know, that Nautilus hook, hard to miss, we'll say.
Yep, one of the most fun gamer hitboxes in League of Legends. We'll go with that one. That is non-flash summoners down on this bottom lane, and Brand and Nami are certainly a mobile champion, so having the flashes still up, but no ghost, no heal. Senna certainly not the best at punishing early, but gotta think that Lunar is liking this lane, especially considering you're just not gonna get as many stack opportunities in that AD role. And they are getting the push in. They're gonna get themselves a pretty comfortable reset. One other thing I want to mention really quickly, Bonfire. This is a staple Kryra pick. This guy has been touted as one of the future jungle NA prospects. And he's done it on carry-oriented junglers for, honestly, over a year now. Graves, I think, I would consider his piece de resistance pick for his style.
Well, I'm excited to see it then, as Blue Joes are excited to get another good trade onto Reppy. Look, man, it is not fun. I've tried it in solo queue as the Orianna, and it is not a fun lane. But I will say, credit to Reppy where credit is due. Doing a pretty decent job at keeping the CS fairly even with those big chunks coming along from the Tristana. We'll have to see when there's a item built if they can continue to survive. But yeah, Kryra should be really fun to see as this game progresses.
Okay, that's low. Very low health, and Shocky, that's just too easy of first blood. Pops the ultimate, gets the rage bar up, and gets himself a solo bolo. It took a bit of time, but we finally have blood drawn in this matchup. And boy, is it scary to be on a Renekton.
Yeah, when you're in an Udyr, it can sometimes feel like you can't die. But it looked like Meslo just kind of overplayed his hand right there. Took a little bit too much damage in the minion wave, and boom, down goes the Udyr, pardon me. So, be interesting to see. I think Shocky really has an opportunity as well. This game, I was talking about Kryra having a good chance to do damage, but Shocky could really be a thorn in the side. A good Renekton is hell to go against, as they do damage.
Oh no, Lunar face checks. Brand drops the full combo. Good flash away for Lunar. Use heal to barely survive as well. Now NACL is getting turned on. Lunar has to be careful. If he steps up improper one time, he may fall. But NACL almost dies. The Dawning Shadow has to flash away. Another Dredge Line lands for Just, and they slay the fish. Tempos falls. Lunar turns a pick play into gold for Polestar.
Yeah, really, really well played right there from Polestar. It felt like they were playing right on the edge of dying, and that's kind of exactly what you need to do if you're going to win these early skirmishes. You don't have a great early game, and so if you are going to win in those early skirmishes, it's going to be by the skin of their teeth. But I love that Lunar took the brunt of the damage, flashed away, was able to survive, get a good ultimate off, get the flash off of NACL, and kind of force him out of that fight. And then just took a lot of damage, but on that Nautilus just recognizes how much they could take. Took just enough to be able to survive, able to get that kill. And it's on Lunar as well. Very, very important.
He's going to be still going that Youmu's-oriented build first. I know there's like a super scalar Senna build people can go where they play like Kraken. They index completely into the crit chance. I'm glad that I don't think that works for competitive. So I haven't seen it yet. I don't want to say that I've seen it from many players, but this is the build that works best because you're farming, you want to utilize your damage as quickly as possible on Senna to be able to be effective as quickly as possible in this game. Youmu's going to be helpful. The fact that Lunar is going to get there so quickly could be big. This could be a big pick for Polestar again, as Kryra likes his odds against Cross. We'll just force him out of the jungle.
Yeah, Cross should be able to get away with those little leaps and dashes. Still has flash as well, so not really in too much trouble. Does not have to expend the summoner spell. I think quietly as well, Shocky, you know, I didn't know how good the Renekton was, but apparently in the right hands still can be just as impressive as seasons past. And now Kryra wants to make some magic happen in the bot side. NACL is alone here. This Nami's top side. I'm not sure if they know that. If they get wave shoved in, it's a potential dive attempt.
Okay, well, Shocky avoids a pick of his own. Yep, Nausicaa's just going to try and index and kill Lunar before he falls, and he might succeed, but the shallow miss is going to keep him safe. Kryra picks that one up. On the other side, we see an instant response from the Redbirds, though. They lose their AD carry, and they're going to index it into as many of those grubs as possible.
Yeah, I will say, Slayer, it's good that they're getting the grubs. They're getting something on the other side of the map, but I'll tell you what, if you had to put money where my mouth is, I would rather take the kill on the bot side. I feel like every caster has talked about how grubs are good if you're ahead at continuing to snowball the game, but they're not ahead right now. They're actually pretty substantially behind. How much use are they going to get out of 5 grubs? I guess we'll have to see. They also don't really have a great side laning threat. Tristana's fine, but I feel like you'd rather have them in a team fight. And the Udyr, again, another great team fighting option. And so getting those 5 grubs, or 4 grubs, we weren't able to get all 5 yet. It's good, but again, I would rather get the kill on the brand.
100%. I know. I just like to see that they are proactively split mapping, because
Yeah.
there was no way for them to get anything on that side. We have Meslo Mike going for Shocky here. Dominus is Pog. Shocky likes his odds in the trade. Rage Bar is still counting up. Meslo trying to run away. Donning Shadow for extra support. One more auto from Shocky can do it. The slow of the smoke screen, not enough. And on brand, the Udyr barely escapes death.
Yeah, Meslo's able to survive. Very, very important right there, making sure this game doesn't snowball out of control and make sure this top side is still playable, although they are going to lose some plates for it because of that. Quietly also, remember how I mentioned they got all 5 grubs? They actually didn't. They got forced off with a good rotation from Pulse. They only got 4, which is a huge, huge difference, Slayer, because the difference between 5 and 4 means they're not going to have little grubbians when they go for these towers. That is a big, big miss out right there from them.
We do have some stack-oriented champions in the game here, so I do want to highlight that Cross is doing a pretty good job. He's at 4 on the Kingdred stacks, which, you know, once you get past 3, this early in the game can be very beneficial. Has that first real buff on the range for Kingdred, and then for Lunar, 40 stacks in about 12 minutes is actually pretty darn good for a farming Senna. It would be a bit behind if you were in support. You want to get there about 10 minutes, but you can. The rule of thumb is you can effectively have the stack numbers when you go from farming Senna from support Senna. So Lunar's certainly online as well. Both stack-oriented champions doing well.
Yeah, doing fine for themselves. I don't really know Senna numbers super well. I think 40. I think you're right about that. I think you're probably right. You're the AD carry player who plays a lot of Senna. I'll just concede that one to you, as the expert will say. We haven't talked a lot about farming numbers. Hold on a second.
There are some gaps for sure.
Yeah, I was about to say there are some gaps. If you look in the jungle, 20 CS difference for Cross. Going to be an absolute problem later on. The top
doing this
side,
again?
I think Meslo should be able to just get out. Indeed, he is. And then I was about to say, though, in the top side, Shocky's coming his way with the Udyr. Really, really great work setting them behind. And then in bot, I think this is the most surprising for me. The fact that this Senna is so much further ahead than the brand.
Oh my god! Nausicaa just pops Reppy. Wasn't expecting the brand to flash over the wall and kill him. And now it's the go button for the Redbirds. Hopping right over the wall is Drew Dozer. Just is going to be another sacrificial lamb. The reset's coming across. And finally, ISU find a window back into this early game.
Yeah, the Redbirds soar in right there, figuratively and literally fly over the wall. Reppy definitely not expecting that, because used the ult behind and just had no clue what was going on, and ends up losing their life for it, along with just 2 kills going back over to this ISU squad, and they've catapulted themselves back into the game. They were falling behind in the gold department. We were both chatting about it, but they are very much back in the gold department, only down about 500, 600 gold. So this game is not over for them, and that damage from Meslo starting to really hurt onto Shocky.
Such a smart play for Meslo. He never wanted to go for the kill. Simply doing that to force Dominus out of this Renekton, because once that ultimate's down, it nerfs so much of the lethality of this Renekton. So that ultimate goes down. And without teleport, Meslo really kind of has this lane in a bit of a stranglehold for at least the next couple of minutes.
Yeah, Shocky, the ultimate on Renekton isn't too long, so Shocky has to play safe for another minute or so, and then should be fine. But it is very strong. If they wanted to fight now, I think now would be the time, especially with Rift Herald up. Does look like Cross is going to go against that, though. Doesn't feel like they're strong enough as is, and so they are going to concede it, even with getting that Renekton ultimate out early.
Don't have a ton of pushing waves. Mid and top did get crashed down. The Herald will be picked up for free, and what a fun game one we have. We didn't get to talk about it too much, but it's been talked about around the Tier 3 community. This is the matchup to watch. If you watch Tier 3 tonight, you know Grapes and Hawk really hyped up this matchup because if we're being realistic across the 4, well, I guess now down to 3 matches we have for Saturday, this was expected to be the most hotly contested, and it's held up to that bargain through the first 15 minutes of Game 1.
Yeah, so far both of these teams, I think sometimes with Game 1 you tend to have some rust that needs to be shaken off. You know, you don't play League for a little bit. Sometimes you need a little warm-up. That's what ARAMs are for. Both of these teams definitely don't need any warm-up. They are playing pretty much up to par with what we expected for both of these teams. And this is some high-quality League of Legends so far. So hopefully it'll continue as we get into this mid-game, as we are just about dead even. First tower does go over to Drew Dozer, and that will pretty much even up the gold.
Gotta love it. But, you know, it's funny actually. Usually when you have this conversation, it's like, all right, the gold's even, but one side scales better. God, do these teams scale similarly. It is actually uncanny. I know Brand is an AD carrying this role, but Brand is also a disgustingly great scaling champion. Especially with the fact that now he isn't limited by mythics, right? Like he can go a Liamdres, and he could technically go like a Rift Maker if he wanted alongside it. There's so many itemization options for these burn, no pun intended, oriented champions in the game. And it just makes Brand so much more threatening. I don't know if Shocky has as much control of his top lane as we thought. Oh, hello.
We'll have to see. There's the Dominus. I was about to say, kind of backloaded with the damage. And yeah, look at Meslow's health bar just absolutely get depleted once the Dominus is popped. That's kind of how it's going to go. I feel like Meslow definitely has the damage, but that's the Renekton moment for you. Presses Q once, and their health all comes back. I think a dive on Meslow could be dangerous for not ISU, but rather Polestars if they go for it. And especially with the friends there, looks like they are going to not want to go for it. I will say this whole time while they're focused on top side and mid,
they're
really getting strangled in bot. This Tristana is having its way with Reppy and pushing all the way to the tier 2, almost knocking it down.
Drew Dozer, in my mind, just single-handedly shut down the dive attempt on Meslo there, because by the time they even had somewhat of a semblance set up near that turret, Drew Dozer was cleared the wave and was going to smack that tier 2, and that gold is very, very valuable, especially in a game that is so close like this. Drew Dozer, hats off to him, being able to just give himself a bounty purely off the CS and structural damage he's done in this game so far.
Yeah, it's been a great game for Drew Dozer so far. I think a really good macro game, right? Sometimes as Tristana get those early kills, you get that early damage, you show out to be, you know, one of those late game threats, but sometimes it's not about that. Sometimes it is solely about getting that damage with your bombs.
Oh, okay, Dominus is back up, and that's the go button for Shocky every time there's 1v1 Meslo. Udyr's been known to be a pesky one to kill and escape, but with the clips up and the damage down, Shocky gets another one towards the top side. 2 solo bolos necklaced around his neck.
Yeah, and it's the same mistake as before, Slayer. It's Meslo just overplaying his hand, just expecting to be able to survive everything from this Renekton, but Renekton can shred through those resistances, especially when Dominus is up, and makes light work of the Udyr right there. Knocks that hard shell right back onto the head of Meslo, and should be able to knock down a tower 2 for it. There's one bright spot so far from this Polestar squad. There's more than one, but one of the bright spots, we'll say, has definitely been Meslo, or has been Shocky.
Lunar piloted, wow, you can really fly far back. I thought he was going to get caught there, but he's able to fly back, and now looks like Polestar with the teleport in like their fight. Meslo's here as well. Here's the first big team fight, the first big storyline in this matchup, and it's mostly just having to flash out. Shocky getting chunked down well on top of that, and with an Infernal Drake up, ISU feel confident in this 5v5 and ARAM, and they might push it further. Stun's going to land on a Kryra. Great pick from NACL. Kryra has to burn everything to get out, but he can't. The Brand finds the kill. Just Dredge lines himself to death. Shocky has to create something now, flashing forward. Great Kindred ult to just save all of ISU in this fight, but now their health bars are low, and Lunar wants to push it, flashes forward, gets himself a kill through the hollow mist. Drew Dozer gets caught jumping forward himself. A ping-pong sort of team fight finally evens out, but Meslo is going to get rooted under turret. Great turn from Lunar, a double picked up on the backline by Reppy as well, and Polestar are going to limp out of the first main fight with a victory.
That is unbelievable that they were able to do that, Slayer. At first, it looked like they were all sorts of whack. I'm not sure if Vestal wants this. Just trying to be a nuisance with that spinning circle of damage. Able to survive. They do knock down the turret. At first, it looked like they were disjointed in that fight. Polestars losing the health bars, we'll say, to start off, and then Just goes in while Kryra's going out. Kryra dies, Just dies. It felt like they had lost that team fight, and I was just about to say that Polestars really not showing up after that early game, but just like that, it's honestly the heroics of Shocky and Lunar. I know Reppy was able to get the double and had that great flash, I believe, onto Nausicaa to get the double kill, but really it felt like for me it was Polestar and it was Lunar. A really great fight right there ensures that they do get the gold advantage firmly back in their grasp.
Yeah, I mean, that was an amazingly positioned fight from Lunar. I mean, you're playing Senna, which is one of the easiest targets to just delete if they miss position. He found the window to flash forward, get a kill, uses the miss so he's intargetable to get back, gets a key root on a Meslo who would have killed him under the turret, and trades that one back, buying time for rep. Yeah, I mean, Lunar, quite literally Bonfire. I remember us watching him in the RCL Grand Final, win them the series, flashing in to kill off the jungler taking Elder. And I remember screaming, Lunar wins them the game with his Senna. I'm glad to see it's just as on par as we remember.
Yep, sounded just as good, but I do want to give Shocky his flowers too, because I understand as an AD carry main, you know, I get it. You see a big AD carry play, and it's huge, but Shocky, that does not happen if the Renekton isn't playing on the edge of their life. So it is a team game, and it felt like everybody really contributed, but Lunar not getting picked off there was definitely the biggest reason why.
Obviously for Polestar, came a bit shorter than they wanted in OQ1, and they made a change at AD carry, putting in Lunar. They go 3-2 in Swiss. Still some questions about that decision to bench Enthralled. And so far in game one, they're showing up. And Shocky, my God, is also showing up. 2 items deep, and this is a one-sided affair in the side lanes now. Shocky, for the 3rd time, snipes down Meslo.
Yeah, Shocky is having a very, very strong game on the Renekton. I don't think that's a hot take for everybody out there. I think everybody probably recognizes that one. 3 solo bolos onto Meslo. Really feels like this Udyr just does not know how to play in the Renekton, or if they do know how, they don't think it's a fair matchup. And yeah, fair to you. This Renekton is making short work. Don't you know that a crocodile kills a turtle, my friend?
Yeah, you know what? Animal Kingdom certainly agrees with you for sure on that matchup as well.
Circle of life.
Well, here's the thing though, because Udyr has multiple animal forms, right? I know one is called people call it the ram form.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would take a crocodile against a ram. I guess it really depends on environment in that one, to be honest. Like, obviously a ram in a river is screwed, but you throw that crocodile into a mountainy terrain, like, the ram's going to win.
I think it solely depends on whether or not the crocodile gets its jaws on the ram. I think the Rams got the speed advantage, but man, once the crocodile locks in, I would not want to be underneath those big mighty jaws that it has, and I don't think Meslo does either. And
well, looks like the turtle looks like a fish out of water right now. Caught again by Shocky. Kryra's here because he wants in on the free gold that Meslo has become for this Polestar squad. Trying to run away once more, but the Lambster's respite not in time. Burned ultimate. Meslo falls. And Polestar grasping onto this game one.
You know what beats a ram and a turtle? A shotgun.
Yes,
and,
that's true.
That's Animal Kingdom for you, my friend. Even a lamb won't save you there. It's a, oh man, he's burned onto the ground. Oh, violent. Oh, jeez. Yeah, shotgun will do just that. It makes short work of this poor Udyr, who has not had the Udyr game that we expect. I think sometimes you see an Udyr and you go, will he die? And this game, the answer has pretty emphatically been yes, and 4 times. So we'll have to see if this Udyr can scale up to still be a tanky option, but that will be a problem for them because you look at the rest of the squad, who else is going to be frontlining for them? Absolutely nobody. They need this Udyr to be able to frontline, and at 0-4, that could end up being an issue for them later.
Ross's Lamb's respites are going to have to be Lamb's respites are going to have to be very, very important in a lot of these fights for sure. It's about a 4K gold lead now for Polestar at this point. They've got some serious bounties. They've got 2 item power spikes on 3 of their members. And then Shocky up there has already gotten I'm forgetting the name of this. Yeah, Sterix Gauge. Perks of being the producer here. So he's got a Sterix completed, so even more survivability for not only Shocky, but the itemization. A Saras completed for Rep. He has that Crypt Bloom as well. These solo lanes know that they haven't got enough damage on Polestar with a Graves and a Senna. I love that they're itemizing for survivability, knowing the comp they've put together.
Yeah, they also have that, I believe that's a Profane Hydra, if I know my items correctly. So they have a Profane Hydra, which gives you that health, which I think is fairly normal to go on this Renekton, but other Hydras could have gone for more lethality, recognizing that they don't need to be the wrecking ball that you would expect. And thank you to my producer, aka my other caster here, 71 souls on this Senna. Not too shabby, but I will say at 26 minutes, at least when I play with you, you normally have over 100 at this point.
So the rule is with farming Senna is you are having your soul count.
Okay.
So
that's pretty good then.
Hold on, we might have a play breaking out in the mid lane here. Shocky wants Nausicaa. Great pick to find the brand. Once Flash is down, so immobile. And now Metzlo's going in, trying to maybe redeem his fallen brand, but he's just getting the full might of Polestar now. There's the main tank down for ISU. On top of that, just nearly hooks Drew Dozer as well. And the mid lane has just been Success Kingdom right now for Polestar as they advance their lead further.
Yeah, that is a beautiful pick to get onto Nausicaa right there.
My blue buff.
Metzlo, I'm not sure about that one. Again, the Udyr just falling a little bit flat, tanking for no damage. Never a good sign. I feel like it hasn't been the Graves that's been an issue. Hasn't been the Orianna that's been an issue. But a combination of Shocky and Lunar, that damage is more than enough. And late game, I think the Graves and the Orianna damage will start to come in. So they're not too worried about not getting the damage from the jungle in the mid yet. They have it in droves. A combined 7, 0, and 9 between the top and the bot lane for this Polestar squad.
Certainly showing out early. And it's important to mention that these matchup in the GSL stage sort of double elim. I mean, it's basically a double elimination between 4 teams. So the loser of this is not out. They go to the lower bracket to play the loser of Blue Otter and the 25th.
Nigel's last stand?
Yeah, I believe something like that. There's a pick coming across though first, and it's Cross. Has the Lambster's respite, so buy him some time. But can they create enough space to make sure he's up? Yes, if he dodges the Dawning Shadow. But another key ultimate and a flash off of this Kindred with Baron up is daunting.
Yeah, it's going to be tough to also gain back the ground that they lost right there. Able to clear out a wave with that. Okay, here they go. So they are gaining back the ground. They're getting some more vision, which is important.
Oh,
you might want to set something up.
Okay, Drew Dozer wants Lunar. That'd be a huge kill to find, and it's a shutdown over. Drew Dozer doesn't able to hop off with his reset. He will fall, but doesn't give a green light to the rest of ISU. Not if Shocky has anything to say as he eviscerates the brand. Beautiful shockwave. Reppy grabs 2. Polestar to the moon, acing home on ISU.
Shocky goes massive. At the end of the day, we talked about the Animal Kingdom. Man conquers all. Kryra, with his big iron on his hip, gets 3 of them, boosts his stats just a little bit, and boosts his team to a big purple buff. A beautiful play right there from Polestars, and they are feeling quite good right now. It was even in the early game. It is no longer even. They are taking pure domination to Summoner's Rift.
You got to think, Bonfire. Does that fight look any differently if Cross has that Kindred ultimate up? Because that was down when the pick play came across for Drew Dozer. And you don't have that bailout with a tank that is very far behind and a bunch of squishy champions to boot as well. The game is now expanded to a 9K gold lead. Drake is up in about 2 minutes and 30 seconds, which I believe will very well time with Baron falling off for Polestar. So they are just in prime position to likely knock down the remaining Tier 2 turrets and even set themselves up first to an Infernal Soul take.
Yeah, I mean, I don't hate that play from Drew Dozer. You know, you understand that you have to make something happen, but I mean, you're 100% right. You are one of a ton of health. Just could be in trouble here.
Okay, they think they can burn through the Nautilus, and they have. Nausicaa, great recognition with the Ghost, gets the stun down. And they knock Baron off 1, but pings are a-flowing for Polestar, and Shocky's a-hunting as well. Level 18, but doesn't have enough vision to justify jumping in here. So a great stall out from the Redbirds.
Level 18, by the way, is insane. The fact of the matter is, hold on.
Oh no, he tried it again, Bonfire, and Lunar was ready for it this time. Goodbye, Drew Dozer. Sushi's on the menu as well with tempos falling off. It's a complete rout, and what's happening mid? Shocky is deleting the base of ISU. One more slice and dice, finds himself the 4th kill. They don't need the dragon. Polestar might just call game right here.
Yeah, I think that's it. They've got the Baron buffs. This is just an Udyr. He can slow it, but he does not have nearly enough damage and has to be resigned to his fate. All it took was one misstep. Polestar pounce like animals, and they destroy them where they stand. A great game, almost sub 30 minutes from Polestar. After what was a fairly even early game, Slayer, I gotta say, did not end the same way. Polestar makes quick work of their competitors, and they jump to an early 1-0 lead.
What a performance. Jockey ends up 7-0-5 on his prime Udyr Renekton pick here. Kryra scales up to be a threat in the Graves. I mean, this is how Polestar want to win games. This is their ideal way to play, and when it's on, I don't know many teams that can beat them.
Yeah, that was very, very impressive from Polestar. I don't think that's crazy to say, but they really put their foot on the neck of ISU right there. And, you know, like we said, it was not the strongest early game from them. They went fairly even to start it off, but once they were going, there was nothing stopping them. And they made light work of ISU. The Redbirds, we keep talking about this animal kingdom. I don't know. They fall to a pulse. What's a pulse? Who knows? But they fell to it.
They certainly do. And it looks like, unfortunately, that we don't have the post-game stuff up here. So you guys get to look at the home screen of League of Legends. Enjoy that one as we talk about this one. Listen, I'm not going to claim to be a great producer, even a good producer, I wouldn't claim. But
No,
we're doing our best here. And I'm just glad that we got to see that game number 1. Before we go to a break here to set up for game number 2, Bonfire. This is an ISU Redbirds team that has already, you know, surprised a lot of people. Top 8 finish last time round in OQs. Looking to do the same here. What are you looking for on a bounce back? What are you looking to do? Disrupt Polestar or try and play the Redbird style?
I think it's tough, right? Because it is the Fearless draft. I don't think either of us mentioned that. This is Fearless. So
Yes.
they can't go back to the well of anything that worked. And I do think there were things that worked. I think that Kindred was going to be massive if they left it untouched for much longer. So I would have loved to see them go back to the Kindred, not able to do so. The bright side is they don't have to ban out the Renekton. I'll tell you what, we cannot see the stat page, but I'll just break it down for you. Renekton, a lot of damage, Udyr, a little. I mean, that was dominance in the top lane. So they don't have to worry about the Renekton for the other side. So the Fearless will help and hurt them. I think for them, you got to stick to your plan. You know, I think that disrupting another team is good, but it's with any board game, it's with any card game. You want to play the other team, but more than anything, you want to play yourself. And I think for them, they can't go away from their strategy. I think that would really be their doom. So I want to see a lot of similar champs. I want to see a lot of similar style. And I just want to see them play for top a little bit more. And hopefully Shocky won't have as incredible of a game when they're not on their comfort of Renekton.
Renekton off the table. Lunar's Senna off the table. Kryra's Graves off the table for the Polestar side. So we'll see exactly how they rebound. This was a series expected to go the distance, and all the onus is now on the Redbirds to do so. We'll go to a short break here as we try and set up for hopefully our first look at a draft. Game 2 draft between these two squads. Until then, stick right with us through the break. Just like that, folks, we are finally back here for game number 2 draft. ISU taking on Polestar. Polestar commanding game 1 victory here behind a lot of superstar picks that Polestar is known for. Lunar Senna, Shockey's Renekton, Kryra's Graves. Those are all off the board now with Fearless, and you can see that Cinnabon is just double value now because of it.
Yeah, it means that ISU does not have to ban it out. They don't have to worry about it for the side of Polestar, which is always happy days for them. I'm actually interested that they banned out the Smolder. To me, that means that Nausicaa doesn't feel comfortable on it because I think Smolder could be a first pick, and they do have that first pick opportunity. So the fact that they're banning out, in my eyes, means that they have something else that they want to cook up. And I think the fact that Nausicaa is a sub and went with that brand first game says maybe they're a bit of an, not normal AD carry, we'll say, like some of those more fringe picks. We'll have to see. I'm really curious to see what they bring to the table. It's the same bands for them, by the way. They are chugging along with the same 3 bands that they had in game 1. So not too concerned about any other potential picks going over to Polestars, especially with the Fearless system. I think they feel confident.
I do want to quickly update the sub situation here for ISU because I slightly was incorrect the first time. Apologies for that. Nausicaa is the starting support player. They moved up to AD. Tempos is a support sub that moved in. So because Disconnector wasn't
Interesting.
here, they bumped up the support to AD. That happens a lot of the time. And then they brought in the support. Nico is the B1 here. Gotta think that's somewhat of a flex pick, especially if you're drafting it this early, Bonfire.
Yeah, it could go. I think mid and support are really the 2 roles you see it most. I'd imagine it's probably mid. I think I see that like 75% of the time it goes mid. But you're right. I mean, it could go support, and especially with the way that they've been playing the spot lane, I don't think anything's off the table. So I'll be interested to see where they end up flexing it. It's just a really strong team fighting tool. It's banned in game 1, but Polestar obviously was too worried about the Senna, so they end up leaving it open, and Polestar, or excuse me, ISU snags it off the board one of those days. So they get it for themselves. This is interesting though because I feel like double AD range, AD support. We don't see a lot nowadays, but Polestar really likes that Ash support, so they're going to snag it for themselves.
Pick that one up. Lunar and Just to play that double marks in bottom lane. Time to have that Varus conversation. We'll see how the draft unfolds. I would assume with such an aggressive bottom lane, it's going to be some sort of lethality. Jhin is the immediate answer, which I have seen a lot more Jhin being played at the high tier 3, tier 2 level currently. I also think Jhin could pair pretty well with a Nico support in a lot of ways. And, regardless of where the Nico's going, Vi also working really well alongside a Nico. So, sort of a dive targeted comp coming across here so far for ISU.
Yeah, I love that Vi pick. Vi and Jarvan are so strong into those double marksman bot because once you get into that mid game and these marksmen are roaming in team fights, you just throw a Vi ult on either of them and it gets really easy to pick them off. So I really like that pick. I think it's a strong one. The Jin I'm not so happy with, but we'll see what they can cook with it. This Galio also
Ooh.
very, very interesting. I feel like you don't see a ton of Galios nowadays. Now the question is this an AP Galio or is this a tank Galio? Koenig has been a potential item to run on Galio because you already have that magic shield. It makes it so difficult for any AP to touch you. But they also don't have any AP as is. So kind of a kind of an interesting. I'm curious.
There's a lot of question marks to fill out with this draft for sure. Curious if Reppy believes that it is going to be Drew Dozer's Nico coming around here, because obviously you like Galio into matchups up against magic dealers more often than, physical damage dealers for the reasons you were talking about. The second wave bans are going to likely signal what these two teams might be thinking about their respective comps here. A Riven ban, that's a Meslo special thrown out there. Pocket pick he enjoys. So Polestar take that one away. Belveth, they know Kryra doesn't have a jungle pick yet left, and he's known as that carry jungle player. So Belveth is a great one to take away on the current patch as well.
Yeah, I'd like to see a Xin Zhao ban. I think has been nerfed a little bit, but still such a strong early game jungler that it's hard not to see a Xin Zhao as a potential great pick right here. Lee Sin also still on the board. It is going to be the Viego banned
Okay.
out, so they don't want to have to go against the Viego. And I don't hate it. I think that the Viego has a lot of great bodies to steal, and is just one of those junglers that really, if is left unchecked and gets a couple of kills under their belt, can be an absolute menace. And so I don't mind that ban. I will say Kryra, I still think kind of has their pick of the litter, which was what carry jungler they want to go. Still
Ooh.
have the Kindred if they want. I will say that's triple marksman.
Yeah.
All right. Okay,
So,
we'll see how that works.
I mean, you got to put Shocky on something that can frontline now, in my mind. Galio,
Yeah.
even if it's a tank Galio mid, don't think that's enough to really help out this composition. That doesn't mean that Kindred will not be available for a potential game 3 at all. Kindred is a pick for Kryra and Cross, respectively. But now I want to see what ISU decide to cook up. They just
Yeah.
get themselves a
Yes.
rock, pun intended, in the top lane with that Nihilus. And I want to see if this is a support or a mid laner. And we'll have an idea of where this Nico is going to go.
I will say before we get that opportunity, fantastic pick. Malphite is probably the best into 80 champions, and your ultimate is so useful on 3 of 4 of those members. So that's a fantastic pick.
Just backs up the Vi as well, right? Not the Vi going
Yeah.
going in alone. And Melio is going to come alongside with Jhin, pairing.
A little extra range.
I have seen, yeah, and also I think Jhin can become very immobile, so you just can help out if he gets caught by an Ash Arrow, Varus ult lands on top of him, Galio taunt, like all of that can be cleansed by this Melio. It looks like Shocky is not going to be moving towards any sort of tank. Still going to be a frontline threat, and he's going to go with the Aatrox, who, funnily enough, builds very similar to the Renekton of the last game, and puts Shocky in another position to be a big-time carry proponent here. But he's going to have to do more than just that in this game.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough one because again, that's more AD going over to this Polestar squad, which means that this Malphite is going to have a field day just building pure armor. I don't even think you have to build any MR for Reppy. Also, one last thing I will say about this Melio, I'm glad you highlighted. Great for the team fights. It's good for being able to cleanse a lot of the CC. Is going to be a nightmare in the laning phase. I just don't see how Melio is going to have any fun against Lunar and Just. Double marksman, just going to abuse this poor child who loves soccer.
Well, with that, we are going to be kicking things to a break here because we need to get through our own spectator delay that we have enforced. But until then, stick with us through the break. ISU Polestar, game number 2, potentially the final game, coming in just a couple short minutes. Could this be the last stop here of our matchup? Polestars, anything to say about it? We will be closing out with a sweep to kick off Group B action, the NACL GSL stage, aka the group stage. But ISU are certainly an opponent that is formidable and has been here before and drafted a comp with initiative in this game number 2.
Yeah, this is a fantastic team fighting comp. I mean, whenever you have a Malphite, a Vi, and a Nico, good things are going to happen in team fights. So the big question is, can they get the Wombo into the combo, into the win, forcing a game 3? And I hope so. I want to see these teams go to battle for a game 3. I feel like everybody does. But maybe 5 people who don't are the starting lineup of this Polestar squad. Because their comp is not too shabby either. They want to get ahead early and not look back.
So many outcomes that will play out in this early game. We talked about the double marksman bottom lane. Looks like Lunar is on the lethal tempo, which means it will still be an on-hit Varus, despite the fact they'll have some early pressure with this Ashe. And early pressure they're pushing for, as they will immediately get a deep ward cleared out. It looks like they're going to commit to an invade here. Kryra is going to force what will likely be a vertical jungle game number 2 between him and Cross.
Yeah, the question is, do they think that they backed up after clearing that ward, or do they think they stole it? That ward's going to tell them just enough right there in that tri-brush. They're going to take some damage for it, but now this Vi knows where they need to go after this stealing, or after this blue buff of their own. And like you said, vertical jungling all the way. As silence and peace, tranquility fall across Summoner Rift. As I say that, Just immediately wants to change that. And yep, that's the double marksman bot, my friend.
Just does take a good amount of damage himself. That crit shot coming from Nausicaa, very, very effective. But yeah, I mean, this is the Ashe, right? I mean, you just sit way in front of the minion wave, make sure you get level 2 first. You talked about this, Melio not going to have a fun time. Kryra very close by as well after fully clearing this bot side jungle. Do they even try and set this ISU bottom lane back even further?
Well, it looks like they might want to go for a dive. They do have to be careful. This Vi actually did not vertical jungle, and they don't go for this. Oh man, for Cross, this might become very, very scary because, yeah, Cross is recognizing, I have no camps now. The question is, Just and Lunar have to play careful. I think they recognize that they don't have the safety of their jungler anymore, and as much as they want to push up and push the advantage, I think they recognize that they could be in peril as well if something happens. Is this a flash from the Vi? No, just holding on to that shot. So as long as Lunar and Just don't die, Cross is in a horror of a position right now. We'll be down about 3 camps early on.
And here comes a great route. You get the Deadly Flourish down, flash forward for Cross, gets Lunar, who already burned both of his summoners, drops them off, and will be able to run out. Just Lunar burning all 4. The crit shot, Nausicaa, one more auto if he can sink it through, but the reload time too long. The Deadly Flourish comes up first, and blood is scored in the name of the Redbirds.
Oh, Lunar! I feel like Lunar had an opportunity to dodge away from that one, is not able to do so. Gonna lose their life for it. And that is a tough position to be in because things were going so well in the bot side. And now they are behind, which is really a position you do not want to be in with this double marksman. Great work from Cross, getting the setup, getting the summoners off and the damage, all that good stuff. But man, it feels like you dodge out on that Deadly Flourish. You set your Kindred in a really incredible position. That is no longer the case. And now it's actually the opposite. ISU is in the driver's seat for the first time in what feels like a long time.
Kryra will get first stack off for free. We're off that scuttle. So, you know, bit of a consolation prize, obviously. Also was able to steal away even more camps. I believe he got the Grop. Oh, the Grop was actually smited away, so Cross does grab that one. But despite the fact First Blood did go ISU's way, Kryra has slowly gotten himself a 3-camp lead that is even the gold out.
Yeah, Cross has been in a really tough position, and this is why double marksman's so difficult, because not only is it putting a lot of pressure on your bot lane, just simply because of the damage it provides, also your jungler needs to help out. You can't just get bled in the bot side forever, and so Cross has had to play bodyguard for quite a lot of this early game. Credit to Cryo, great recognition of having that first push in the bot side, knowing that, yeah, I can go bot whenever I want. Cross did not go for the vertical jungle, instead tried to help out the bot lane. Gets a kill. At what cost, my friend? That's the real question. In reality, it's the cost of basically all of their camps.
Yeah. Shout out to Aegis family coming through with the raid. I guess their series wrapped up much quicker than ours did. So appreciate everybody popping in from that raid. There's still a lot to be said about the series between Polestar and ISU. We're barely into game number 2, and everybody around this community still believing this is one of the tightest matchups of arguably the weekend for the GSL stage.
Yeah. Oh, ISU didn't have a bad first game, but not a good enough first game to take it. And I think that they just kind of lost momentum as it went on until they got basically bled out the 30-minute mark. So trying to find a different fate this time. Not bad early game so far. Able to get that kill on the Jhin early. And doing a good job of negating this double marksman bot. Actually doing a pretty good job of staying up with CS. But again, the CS advantage in the jungle is only getting worse. This Kindred almost up 20 CS on this Vi early on means that going for smites, going for early fights on these objectives, on these marks, it's going to get even harder for this Vi.
Not going to be easy any way, shape, or form. Kryra likes the bot side pressure. His double marksmen still have. Mid lane got to push in, and standard jungle trade of Season 14 coming across here. 3 grubs for the Redbirds, answered by first Drake for Kryra and company.
Yeah, actually surprised that this Malphite was able to get pressure on this Aatrox early enough to be able to roam down, but was able to do so. I think might have been off of a reset. I wasn't paying enough attention. And because of that, they are able to take those grubs. So a good early trade. It's important that they're able to trade early, even with this early comp that has been taken as Lunar.
All right, double heal burn. Both supports dropping that one down. Piercing arrow not going to sink the Lunar. But ISU doing a good job standing up to the damage of this double marksman bottom lane. But Kryra might push it over the edge. Setting up, does grab a turret shot. Lamb's Respite is up if he wants it to try and sink this dive, but they have to get the kill first. Chains of Corruption root double lands, and Lunar just doubles it up in an instant. Who needs the bailout ultimate when you just kill him off under turret?
Yeah, I mean, that is as easy as you like it. Lunar lands an ult on one of them, able to immediately just get an arrow onto, I believe that was Tempos, and then also go without the help of the Melio. Good as dead, and gets put down like a poor dog at a shelter. So that gold lead that ISU had gotten for themselves quickly as they gotten it has been taken away. And yeah, this bot lane that we had talked so much about.
Wow, all right. That's the stat check you get in top lane. Great ult. I like the ult response there from Meslo. If that wave wasn't there, things might have gotten a lot dicier, but Shocky back to his normal antics on a different champion, just pushing in those waves constantly and getting himself a pretty sizable farm lead on the Aatrox in game number 2.
Yeah, I gotta say though, how we were talking about how this Vi was in a tough position, down almost 20 CS, has done a good job, stole all of the top camps from this Kindred when there was the play bot. And so even though it's not an even trade, we still lose 2 members in the bot side, and suddenly out of nowhere this Varus is a problem. At least you're not so far behind in the camp department. It's not as bad as it was before. So it feels good in that sense. Again, we always talk about how League of Legends is a game of give and take. You give over 2 kills, but you take some camps back.
Don't take back most of the gold lead, though. Polestar now confidently about 1.3k up, a bit over 1,000k gold. You can see that most of that is resting in this bottom lane with a 500 gold lead now for Lunar. Has already got those Berserker Greaves completed and going towards that Blade of the Ruin King as well. So looking to be that on-hit threat, not the lethality. And I don't hate that decision, especially in the current meta, at all.
No, not at all.
Are they going to try and 3v2 this? Wow, that's Breath of Light out from Tempos just to keep Cross safe. And rarely do you see a bottom lane pushing out a numbers disadvantage like that.
Well, I'll tell you why, Slayer. Look at where that Galio was. That Galio was going to make sure that was not a numbers disadvantage for very long if that Vi came in. So good recognition for this ISU squad that, yeah, numbers disadvantage for how long? Galio just affords you that safety, we'll say. And they felt comfortable enough going for something. And like you said, they did get Breath of Light off of Tempos, which is a fairly strong ultimate, especially with this bot lane, because they still do have Varus ult. No, they do not. They used Varus ult as well. So Lunar, no ultimates down, or ultimates down, I'm sorry, on both Lunar and Just. Tempos has to burn his own just to survive.
Lots of pick plays are going to come across with both of these compositions. I mean, you've got a Nico, a Vi, a Malphite, and then you've also on the other side got Varus and Ashe, who have two ultimates that are just so great at catching out people. Ryra and Repu doing a bit of tag team through the jungle. Unfortunately, though, they're completely spotted out, so the reward is going to be a Gromp. Meslo and Cross will stay safe. Does set up here for a bot lane dive as Drew Dozer wants it. He is a pesky minion. Sitting in the brush. I think they know you're a fake minion. Drops it, eats an arrow off Rap. Curtain call in the face of Lunar, who's able to get a bunch of free fire shots, but here comes the Pop Blossom crash down, and they find the kill onto Lunar. It wasn't pretty, but the goal remains the same and sinks home more gold into this Jhin.
Yeah, honestly, it wasn't pretty, but they played that pretty impeccably. Just not taking turret aggro for so long until this Nico was in a safe position to get away. I feel like Lunar did a good job right there, but not a lot that you can do. Still had flash up, but decided not to use it. And they're able to get that shutdown off of Lunar, albeit onto the Melio. But still good things happening right there in the bot side, ensuring that it doesn't snowball too far. Able to get an assist on this Jhin. And sometimes it's not the junglers that gank, sometimes it's the mid laners as well, apparently. Doing a great job right there, as Just is going to stop the back of Drew Dozer. Be a little annoying, but nothing more.
Second dragon has spawned here. Polestar eyeing it pretty intently. Rep is able to get some deep wards down. I think he cleared out that the next Kindred stack was off the board from Cross. Speaking of Cross, it looks like he's comfortable giving over the second Drake, giving the dragon stacking advantage to Kryra. They don't have a ton of vision. He wants to keep up in the farm department, so our soul for game number 3 is also Infernal again, and it's going to be in the hands of Polestar.
Yeah, and Nausicaa, Tempos, and Drew Dozer had all just backed, so you were missing some critical numbers right there if you wanted to go for it. Deciding against it, playing it safe. Shocky had his fun earlier on, getting the flash off of Meslo, but my friend, that is a full armor stacking Malphite, and you're probably not going to solo Bolo at this point. So instead, just trying to get damage, force this Malphite back, get the wave push, and maybe fight over these Void Grubs, which are spawning. And with the Kindred roaming back up, it looks like they want to contest these.
Kindred, one of those junglers that can really only take one, likes to take one that dip out. But they might find more than a grub. They might find Drew Dozer caught. Has flash available if he needs it. Will have to burn it before Reppy lands the taunt.
That's ult too.
Ult down, flash down on Nico, and I think more of those grubs are on the menu here for Polestar.
Yeah, flash on Nico is one of those summoners where it just matters more than on anybody else because that flash ultimate is near impossible to dodge. So getting flash along with ultimate off of Drew Dozer means that I really don't see ISU contesting this. I don't see how they can. It's one of the biggest playmaking ultimates they have at their disposal. Really great job from Kryra right there, recognizing that, yeah, they were at a lack of vision in the jungle. They were going to need to go for something. One who pays the price right there was going to be the Nico.
Not much gained off the back of it just yet. Don't see that grub taken. I believe it did open up Kryra to grab another one of those Kindred stacks, as we will quickly check on that. Is up to 4, so in a very similar position to Cross last game. A great position to be as that Kindred player. And the gold lead to boot as well. Most of it sitting on some of these solo lanes that have a farm advantage. 600 gold lead for Shocky, which if we learned anything from game number 1, is par for the course.
Yeah, Shocky could be an absolute menace in this game if left unchecked. Having to burn all of those playmaking ultimates on Shocky would just not feel good. You really want to get it onto this Varus, onto this Kindred. But when you have a Aatrox in your face, you're not really worried about what's behind it. You're more worried about the Aatrox. Especially the fact that this Aatrox is doing very well for himself financially. So making sure that you're able to get away from this Aatrox might prove to be more difficult than they might like.
Platings have dropped off, so no more gold grab there. Might be a pick in the mid lane. Knows Reppy does get the taunt. Do they have enough to burn down? The Pop Blossom is just too late. Great setup from Reppy. Gets Kryra another kill, another stack, and more momentum for Polestar.
I was about to ask, was that another stack for Kryra? I think you're right. I think it was. That was a tough one. Shocky. Not a happy place.
His bot side, this is the turn of the Galio, right? Cross thinks he has a pick. Reppy says no. The hero's entrance, as heroic as they come. Curtain call, drop down Nazca, praying he can weave between this Galio to snipe out, just doesn't find it. And Polestar just all over the map right now.
Yeah, doing a great job right there. Oh, Meslo might be in some trouble. No ultimate. Yeah, that's the flash there. I mean, if you land that along with the W, not a lot that you can do. So has to flash. Again, this has just been a consistent theme. Meslo not respecting the damage on the tank champions. Oh my goodness, Meslo, be careful. Just playing on the edge of life there. But I'm glad you brought that up in that last fight. That's the strength that Reppy brings, and that's the strength that Lunar and Just brings. Both the Varus and the Ashe ultimate onto this Vi means that you're getting locked up for quite a while and getting burned.
Yeah, we didn't talk about it too much, but this Galio being an answer to Vi, and honestly Nico, just really anyone that's looking to pick off these double marksmen, might be the pick that just sends this matchup over the limit with how much of a neutralizer this champion can be.
Well, yeah, especially on Nico, because if you remember, not only is it the brings down the hammer on the Nico, gives you a magic shield as well, and Nausicaa.
Whoa! Reppy barely misses the taunt. But flash off of Nausicaa and cleanse. So both of those coming down. Cleanse the Ashel as well. Everybody wants to find this bottom side jungle. In the background, Lunar will pick up the first turret towards the bot side. That's just more gold for Polestar.
Yeah, I gotta say, the double marksman, you really expect it to give you a huge CS advantage, give you a huge advantage and pressure in the bot side, but something that we're starting to see is not only does it give you that, it also just gives you a lot of pressure with your roaming. It feels like whenever this Galio or this Kindred wants to come bot, they're always going to have an opportunity to do something. Shocky forced to use the ultimate there. Really, all it would take would be one unstoppable from the Malphite to knock down Shocky down a peg, and with a 200 gold shutdown, you just cannot afford that.
It's very funny how this matchup is so identical to last matchup, despite different champions, right? You could go for trades as Meslo, but you're walking a wires. Whoa!
Ooh.
A couple wires just missed the head of Drew Dozer, as he might have nearly gotten picked off by Lunar. But Aatrox, just like Renekton, right, it's so valuable when you're in ult form, not outside of it. As Kryra is outside of his comfort zone, he actually steals that red buff away and jumps over. So maybe he's not. He's feeling pretty comfortable in that enemy jungle.
Yeah, doing just fine.
Oh! Get down, sniper in the building. It's just too simple when you land cross-map arrows.
Yeah, from downtown right there, knocks down Drew Dozer, and I don't want to say it feels a lot like last game, but it feels a lot like last game right now.
Oh wow, they're diving for this on Nausicaa. Landrew's respite, great position from Kryra. Nausicaa can't get it. Flashes away from the unstoppable force. He will finally die off to Meslo. Reppy can't save him now. Reppy might be dead. Gets canceled out on his dash. Kryra with the Vault Breaker comes forward. Cross is going to drop him. Meslo picks up 2 kills on this tank Malphite. And the Redbirds snap back.
Yeah, they're able to get something for their troubles. Very, very important that they did. If either Kryra or Reppy were able to leave right there, it really would feel like a horror. They're able to get the kill. They're able to ensure it doesn't snowball too far. On the other side of things, Shocky, happy with getting some solo time. How happy will he be and for how long?
I think he's found a bounce house is the way he uses those blast cones, so he's safe. This is the fun part about the new Infernal Rift, right? Is you get those little, I believe they're called cinders. They give you the speed ups and I believe some sort of ability haste. So it's always fun. It makes the game of League more eye catching when people fall. They spit out like 12 of those things when they die.
Yeah, no, it's a little mini game right there. I gotta say, we haven't really chatted about it that much. Drew Dozer should be okay.
Oh my god! Just does it again. Drew Dozer has died back-to-back times to the might of Just Ashe. And here comes the response from ISU. The flash too late. The Vault Breaker sinks through for Lunar, but is the Vi caught too far forward once more? Has to flash Vault Breaker out. The curtain call, not enough damage for Nausicaa, and once again, Polestar turn a pick play on its head. But Meslo is looking to even those odds. This big mighty rock rampaging forward. They're eyeing like they want to chase down and pick up one of these kills, but Unstoppable Force not able to get close enough.
Yeah, they got all summoners off of Lunar and Just. So if they were going to make a play, I think now would be the time. They just cannot find the angle. What I was going to bring up for that incredible Ash Arrow was the fact that a lot of this gold is on this Malphite. If we pull up the gold graph real quick, has gotten 2 solo towers by themselves, a shutdown, and are 2 of the 4 kills. And so, yeah, it feels tough because the gold graph isn't too skewed. It's still only a 3,000 gold advantage for Polestar. That's not uncomebackable. But the tough part of it is that a lot of your damage just doesn't have the gold that they might need. So it's kind of deceptive. This Malphite's doing great for themselves. Going to be very tanky. Obviously has the Ninja, the Tab Eyes, has the Bramble Vest, has the Frozen Heart. These are great armor items and should be pretty unkillable. It's almost the opposite of last game, right? Last game, well, hold on.
Ooh, all right. Here comes a Pop Blossom, but immediately the hero's entrance responds, and Drew Dozer is down. Reppy always in the correct position, and he's looking for more. Flourishes the flash out of tempos just to dodge the taunt. And this unkillable hero Demacia is setting Polestar up for success. Flash forward, Unstoppable Force with Meslo. He's looking to get a solo in the background, but his team is dying around him. Vaultbreaker forward, Cross will find the shutdown onto Lunar. The double marksmans are starting to fall, but it only sets up Shocky to come online with the World Ender. Pressing forward, this Meslo Malphite may be unkillable with no friends. He can't get anything done, and Polestar do it again in the mid-game team fight, picking up an ace.
They sell out for Lunar, but they're blinded by the sun right there. And it's the 4 members of Polestar.
Oh, no.
Absolutely decimated. Bye-bye, Drew Dozer.
Oh, the
Not
death
even.
brush.
It just feels like Polestar, and stop me if you think I'm wrong here, is just playing on a different frequency right now. It feels like ISU has made some good plays, playing the game correctly by all technical aspects, but Polestar, in terms of their communication, is just absolutely outmanning them, outplaying them, doing a fantastic job of beating them so far, and this gold lead is ballooned. At this point, it's the Polestar's game to lose.
6K gold lead, Shocky unkilled and on a bounty for the 2nd game in a row. Kryra's Kindred, oh my gosh, too many Ks in a
How many
row.
stacks, by the way?
5 stacks, so it has fallen off a little
Holy.
bit, but is still 5-1 with 2 items, 2.5 items. So, you know, stacks aren't the end-all be-all for a lot of champions, and Kindred is certainly one of those as well. And they also are on Soul Point for another Infernal Drake. Like you mentioned, it's just all going up Polestar. Do the Redbirds have a response? That curtain call might be curtains on any play there for the Redbirds.
That was a terrible curtain call. I'm not gonna. I don't know what a good curtain call looks like when you're this far behind, but that wasn't it. And Meslo's gonna tank forever, but the question is,
It's Reppy again. He grabs the double taunt, Cross is deleted, cleanse off Nausicaa, and this dragon seems unattainable now, and Shocky might make him pay for more. Trying to break a rock with the hammer of the World Ender and forces Meslo to ult out once more again. They've got control of the jungle, they got control of the pit. What doesn't Polestar have right now?
I'll tell you what they are going to have. Soul. They grab it right there. That's an impactful soul as well. Infernal's going to hit like a truck when you're going against really any member that's on this team. And ISU, again, I mentioned it earlier, it feels like they're not making the wrong plays, they're just getting outclassed. It feels like, oh man.
Okay. This is not the best target to dive, but man, do they make it look easy. None of that armor matters when you got 3 marksmen smacking you around. Meslo falls. Soon the base of the Redbirds to fall next as well.
Yeah, and that's all their front line right there, Slayer. The rest of them, I mean, a Vi can maybe go in, but it's going to get immediately popped. They recognize that. They can see that they have to just clear waves. Reppy is not even concerned about this Vi.
Oh my god.
I don't know about this
not
one,
concerned.
Rob.
He is not important at all as he gets the lead. Drew Dozer goes for a hero Pop Blossom, but
Oh my
Galio
goodness.
turns. Shocky's just deleting everybody in an instant. Or Polestar gonna call game right now. It's another ace, and what a start to the
24
GSL
minutes?
stage. Polestar moved to the upper bracket with the cleanest 2-0 you'll see this weekend.
Yeah, at 24 minutes. This was supposed to be close, Slayer. We were promised a good show. Polestar put an end to that one. They said the only show here is the greatest show on earth, a.k.a. us decimating our opponents. Meslo dies for all good reason. They do get reppy, but just doesn't matter, does it? As they get absolutely destroyed in 25 minutes time. They want to continue fighting, my friends. You've won the game. Just take this one down, and indeed they do. Polestar, 2-0.
6-0-6. Shockey goes deathless in the series win. Kryra has 2 deaths as well to himself, and a just bombastic stat line. And yeah, you said it, Bonfire. I mean, this looks like a matchup between a kitty and a tiger.
I gotta say, one of the more impressive stat lines for me is Ashe, no deaths, 15 assists.
True.
You know how hard it is not to die on Ashe?
Yeah,
Oh,
into a Vi Nico Malphite too. Like,
it felt like just always had the right positioning. Honestly, everybody on Polestar felt like they always had the right positioning. Can you name a time that a Polestar member got caught out? I mean, I guess Reppy and Kryra in the jungle, but that was after them killing the Jhin, and they almost got out. So just felt like they were always in the right place at the right time, making the right plays, dictating the tempo of the series. And credit where credit's due, man. This was Polestar dominance. I gotta say, we were talking about this as this is the match for number 2, right? This is for the second place in Group B. Polestar, I don't think anybody wants to face them. Least of not, I believe it's least of not Blue Otter. So that would be a fun match to watch, my friend.
yeah, Polestar versus Blue Otter will certainly be very fun as well. And that will kind of close up shop here for day number 1, guys. I mean, I expect this to be a much longer series. We'd be here for a game number 3, get to see the full power of Fearless. That's not the reality. And I do want to give a bit of, a bit of a slide to ISU. I know it was pretty last minute that they had to switch out Disconnector for Nausicaa, bring in Tempos, right? I don't think they were too prepared for this bottom lane combination, and the only hope here is that the Redbirds will get their full strength squad. The squad that got them top 8 in OQ1 back for an elimination matchup already coming their way in Group B.
Yeah, that's the hope, right? You always want to see people at their full strength. You never want an excuse to be given. So I'd imagine they're not happy about how the way things went. But the hope is that they can get their full squad together because we have high hopes for this team. And so the hope is they can get everybody back on the same page and show why they deserve to be in this position. But one team that doesn't need to prove why they deserve to be in this position is Polestar. They emphatically showed that they deserve to be here, and they have some players that I mean, honestly, are NACL ready. I know this is to get into the NACL, but I think now they could find a roster.
Well, guys like Kryra, Shockey, Lunar, and Just, all of them, Reppy, are looking to do that the hard way. Mr. LJ Vogel2 on Twitter, Bonfire. They're going to try and make the run through the qualifiers. We'll be able to look at them next week. At least somebody on the community streams coverage will have that one. Big shout out to Rally Cry for allowing us here at the Salt Mine to once again step in and cover these games. Hope we guys did you justice in this first series. We'll be doing it every weekend we possibly can. And by we, I mostly mean me. But I will make sure to bring as many great friends as I can. Tomorrow, we will have a great matchup as well coming at you guys. I know Bonfire will unfortunately not be present for that one.
Very
but
sad.
I'm bringing in the lovely, the snazzily dressed Quacks to make sure and check out that one as well. I believe it will be CCG Esports versus Castleberry that will be covering here on the Salt Mine tomorrow. But guys, it looks like all the rest of the community streams are done already. We are practically the last one alongside with Salty Runback, who covered this matchup as well. So make sure to show some love to the rest of the other community streamers. We got Salty Runback, us here at the Salt Mine. Aegis Esports also has coverage. Mad Magical also has coverage. Running the Rift also has coverage. We're trying to do our best to bring as much light to these players. They're trying to make a run at NACL. So make sure to check out all those channels as well every weekend for the next, I think, month, as we are going to figure out who makes the promo tournament on the qualifier side. But for now, enjoy the rest of your weekend, your Saturday night, and make sure to be back here Sunday night to check out one of the titans of this qualifier in CCG Esports. Until then, I've been Slayer. That's the lovely Bonfire. We'll see you guys again when we see ya. Take care.